Mi gente, on this episode of Oye, Let's Talk, emotions run high as they debate the ongoing phenomenon of reality TV.
Danny defends la farándula of keeping up with Los Kardashians, and Gabby questions the cult obsession of El Bachelor.
Pero lo más escandaloso es Manny's take on game show television. Bueno, let's talk about all the drama now on Oye, Let's Talk. Hello, listeners. If you didn't already guess, today we're talking about the lovely obsession that surrounds reality TV. What is it? Who watches it? Why is it so popular? And does it exist nowadays? Who really knows? So we're going to start off, of course, naming some of our favorite reality television shows. I personally am in love with the trashy television that is Jersey Shore. And I was a real world fan. I'm not going to lie.
I never saw Jersey Shore. No. I remember everyone talking about it back in our middle school days. I'm pretty sure it was middle school, early high school stages. And I didn't get it. I thought it was like trashy, like what you just said, like people getting drunk, wasted, partying.
But what do you watch?
What do I watch? Okay, so here's the thing. I never liked reality TV. I always thought it was like, you know, it's going to kill brain cells. Why on earth would I watch millionaires waste their life away doing absolutely nothing, flaunting all the money that they have pretty much? And then my best friend, Maria, shout out to Maria. She is literally the queen of reality TV and gossip and everything that has to do with la farándula. And she actually got me into the Kardashians one time that I visited her in New York. It was like on repeat. It was some sort of like marathon event. And the more I watched it, the more I felt kind of dumb for criticizing them, because I think a lot of the times when we hear about these celebrity names, especially the Kardashians, all we think about is like the fakeness, the money, the looks of it all. And I didn't realize how much work they actually put into it, or at least that's what the show portrays, right? That they're entrepreneurs, they're actual business women. Like Kim Kardashian is now studying to be a lawyer. Like these are women who are successful, and not just because they're beautiful, right? Even though it might have started out that way.
Snooki from Jersey Shore wrote a book, and you're here judging Jersey Shore. Sure, she got drunk on television. Maybe she was just authentic.
My point is that my perspective changed over the years. I still think that certain reality TV is trash, to be honest. Like I do think to a certain point it does kill brain cells, but I think there's such a wide variety of what we consider reality TV to be that before I was just like, why would I watch a bunch of bozos do absolutely nothing and be in their mansion and eat amazing food and all this stuff? Like I'm not jealous. No.
Bueno, Manny. Clearly, Danny prefers the Kardashians.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you guys. When we first talked about doing this episode, I was like, I really don't watch reality TV. You know, why? You know, but throughout my research, I realized that I've actually watched more reality TV than I thought. And I also learned something about reality TV, which Danny's kind of alluding to, where it's like it can be more than meets the eye. And we can talk about that later on.
You guys aren't telling me what shows you've seen or cared to
The
watch.
Bachelor, that I also got way too late in the game for. Like I started watching it like in college.
Isn't it new every season anyway? Like how can you be late in the game?
It is, but like it was one of those things where it's like everyone is watching it and it's super hyped up, and like I already not make fun, but I judge people hardcore who have like two girlfriends at the same time and they don't know, kind of thing. And like here are these guys and girls like promoting that they're dating 16, 15 people at the same time. Like I never understood the concept, but then I watched it and I was like, wow, this is fascinating. Like women throwing themselves onto a guy.
Or like, now it's a social experiment.
But then I'm like rooting for them at the end. I'm like, oh my God, you're gonna get your happy ending. And then actually like I think it's like less than 2/3 of them actually end up together, I think is what I read somewhere. And I'm like, wow, the disappointment.
Almost like it's not true love.
Right?
That's the reality.
But it makes you believe. Like it makes you believe. And at least for us, or like my perspective is that we're so involved in the news world, and that can get pretty depressing at times. Like I like watching nothing and not thinking about
That's why I watch Jersey Shore.
So I'll tell you guys, I did actually watch a reality TV show, a real reality TV show recently, because I remember I had seen a little bit of this like growing up. It was Big Brother. And then I told my girlfriend about it and she had never seen it. I'm like, okay, we should watch it.
What
So
is
we
it?
watched all the entire last season. I streamed it and I was so hooked. So it basically combines the best of both worlds of game show and reality TV because you get like the confessionals and like you're basically playing a social game to win the prize, which is I think $500,000. If you guys have never seen it, it's really hard to explain. Have you guys ever seen it? Oh my god.
No, it's the first
So
time I'm
really
hearing of this.
quick, imagine putting 16 I think it's like 16 people, they put them in house, right? And each week there's competitions. There's a head of household competition, and that person holds the power to nominate two people that are going to get evicted from the house. And then those two people need to battle it out with other people for a power veto, which puts you off the block. And then at the end of the day, the two people on the block, they have to vote people off. So kind of like a little bit of Survivor with a little bit of game show.
That's messed
So
up.
yeah, so basically you're putting your physical and your into competition modes and mental abilities, but also with your social game because you have to create allies and kind of like it's crazy. It's crazy. If you've never seen it, I recommend you watch it. It's actually good. It's the
It's one of
one.
those like there's one winner, but you can't win by yourself.
Yo, that's very interesting. Yeah, that
Mm.
basically is you can't win by yourself. Yeah,
So
you're
this was
so
a
right.
show in the early 2000s, I assume?
No, this is a current. It says
Oh.
like 22 seasons, and I just saw the last season that aired last year during COVID. They quarantined
Oh.
the guests, and then they brought them in. Yeah, super cool, super cool. And it was like an all stars game, so it was like people who had been in other previous shows. I'm getting too much into it, but yeah, reality TV. It is very nice because it lets you escape. I will totally agree with that, especially with COVID now. You kind of want to see a little bit of what reality used to be.
I just want to jump in really quickly because at least in the last episode that I watched of the Kardashians, they talked about quarantining and how Khloe Kardashian was really sick in bed with COVID. So it kind of makes you relate on that
Oh,
level
look
too.
at
Like even
that.
the millionaires can't escape the pandemic kind of thing. Anyway,
Oh, even more relatable.
I guess. But the actual reason why we're doing this episode is because there's a lot of education to it, a lot of things you don't know. Like, how did we get to this point of reality TV? It's evolved so much. So actually there's a lot that goes into reality TV and the way it started to how it's evolved now. And I did some research and let me tell you, like I was very excited to learn that the real world was basically the helm of reality TV. The first season started in 1992 with the idea that strangers need to stop being polite and start being real. So if you've never seen the real world, it's essentially like eventually they turned it into a competition, but people submitted their videos arguing like during a certain age range. Like I think you had to be up to 25. It depended on the season too, because they definitely switched the ages around, but you definitely had to be an adult. You submitted your video and then you just basically went to go live in a house with strangers. Some of them had jobs, like they would assign you a job or you'd have something to do, very Jersey Shore-esque if you remember those. And you would go live at the house and you didn't really hang out with other people. And there were a few seasons where they didn't have jobs, they just basically did everything in the house too. So, fun fact, if you didn't know, this aired on MTV. And for those sociology majors, you can actually get into television and be hired for this stuff because the real world kind of started as a social experiment. Can you put a group of people in a house and make them relate to one another or create friendships if that's all they have around them? And of course, there's some drama, there's dating, there's the confessionals, people miss their families, or some girls would go in with boyfriends, leave without boyfriends, or fall in love with someone inside the house. And that's kind of like where the structure of reality TV started, staring at the camera, saying like, I'm upset with so and etc. But according to the Google, but no, I would say like most of society would agree with this. The first reality TV show was An American Family that came out in 1973, and they followed a family, like just to put it point blank. But the issue is An American Family would kind of identify more with what would be called today structured reality, as in eventually it wasn't as authentic or vulnerable as real world being like mixing a bunch of strangers. An American Family obviously was a family. So there are some things that they agreed to say, some things that they didn't. Whereas reality television at its purest form is putting a bunch of strangers together and seeing what happens and filming it. And just a reminder, because we're all like in some way or form news, there's a certain amount of ethics that goes into this. If someone's sick, yes, producers and executives get involved. They don't film things that could be a little too invasive. Everyone signs off on what's okay to see and what's not. But that's the purest form of reality TV, knowing that those ethics even have to come into play.
Which makes you really question, like, how transparent are these so-called reality TV shows? And you brought up all of these, like, 90s, like, The Real World was a 90s show, right?
Reality TV really took off in the 90s. So it's a relatively new genre.
You said that phrase, like that show, and it triggered me because I remember my mom being so strict when I was younger, and that was one of the like adult shows that I couldn't watch because, oh my god, se están besando, and they're like, you know, hooking up and all this stuff. But I remember like when I actually got into like my teen years, like in the early 2000s, like Parental Control, Punked, like Sweet 16s, like all of
The
those
good
TVT
MTV shows.
Yeah, like I didn't realize obviously back then that was like reality TV, but it was like I felt big. I don't know. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. Makes me feel old.
So it's actually really funny you mentioned that, Danny, because when I went back to research the episode, I realized that all these shows that you're mentioning were reality TV, and that I had actually watched the reality TV and actually enjoyed it, and I was lying to myself by telling myself that I hadn't watched it. So everyone out there who says they don't watch reality TV, they probably watched reality TV before. So I kind of just want to go into the different types of reality TV shows. And I can probably list every episode on this list, and I don't think we would have enough time. It's really insane, guys. So the first thing, well, you guys mentioned, Danny, you watched Keeping Up, and then Gabby, you said The Real World and Jersey Shore. And these are kind of like some of the mainstream ones that you automatically think right away, oh, that's reality TV. And that's why I never really considered myself as watching reality TV, because I don't watch Keeping Up with Kardashians. I've never seen Jersey Shore or The Real World. And I just want to mention some other ones that I don't watch, but are kind of like the mainstream of what we think of reality TV. There's the Real Housewives franchise is a very popular. Do you guys watch?
My mom does. Sorry,
No.
Mom.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that was actually reality TV. I just thought it was drama.
Yeah, no, it's real. That's a reality TV show. Do you guys remember Girls Next Door? The Hugh Hefner's girlfriends. That was a reality TV show. Do you guys remember on MTV Laguna Beach in the Hills?
Yes.
I also never watched because it was a big adult show.
I remember seeing. I didn't remember watching them, but I remember the titles and them being really popular when I was young. Gabby, you watched them?
I would watch occasionally because, again, I just thought that they were dramas. Like Lauren Karn on that. If you look her up, they call her a reality TV star. I'm like, what does that even mean?
Everyone remembers Survivor.
Yeah.
My Super Sweet 16. Do you guys remember The Simple Life with Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie?
Oh my gosh, that was I didn't love watching it. But why is Paris Hilton famous? Now she's a reality TV star.
No, well, Gabby, she was famous before that. Now, and you know.
But if you Google her now, she's known as a reality TV star. I'm like, no, everyone knows her because she's rich.
I just want to tell our listeners right now that Gabby looks a little hostile after I've accosted her that she watches reality TV. She just took a very staunch stance on her not watching reality TV, but I'm
not a fan.
Obviously, I'm going to go through other categories that I my own categorical system. But to kind of make this a little more official, I kind of went by the Primetime Emmy classification. That's an American award show. And they basically have 2 awards for reality. And Gabby kind of alluded to that. They have structured and unstructured. Unstructured it contains story elements driven by actions of characters and lacking a consistent structured template, whereas a structured one has a recurring structured template. That's the way that they define it. So it's just kind of interesting how we kind of have this difference, but we kind of all consider it reality TV. And then to my hot take, which I will end up talking about at the end of this list, is the Emmys technically has a 3rd category, which is outstanding competitive program. So it's not even part of the reality TV, but I'm going to argue that, and it is a disagreement among people where do you consider a game show reality TV? And before we discuss that, I kind of just want to mention some of the categories that I found. They're not any of the primetime Emmy categories, but they're ones that I kind of made up myself. First of all, we have some romance reality TV with The Bachelor and Bachelorette, Love is Blind, 90 Day Fiance, super popular. Do you guys remember Next and Room Raiders from MTV back in the day?
Yes,
Absolutely.
next.
Yeah, that was technically. I remember at the end of the Room Raiders episode, they were like, it was like you were trying to get a date, so that's why I classified it as like a romance, right there with The Bachelor.
I don't actually remember Room Raiders that much. But Next I do. But I feel like I was an avid MTV watcher, so I'd probably recognize it, right?
Some fashion ones: Queer Eye, Project Runway, America's Next Top Model, Say Yes to the Dress. How do I
I
look?
love America's Next Top Model, Tyra
Same,
Banks.
obsessed.
I rewatch seasons.
I used to, yeah.
Reality TV. Well, reality TV / game show. Okay, so Home Improvement. Remember the Marie Kondo Method series that they had on Netflix? People were talking so much about that. I would classify that as reality TV. We have Hoarders and Hoarding, Buried Alive, $1 Million Listing, Biggest Loser, Super Nanny. We kind of have some law enforcement ones. I'd made a law enforcement category with Cops and Cheaters, which there have been allegations of like how staged it is.
Oh my gosh, Cheaters.
Yes, you guys remember those, the hidden cameras? We have Divorce Court, Judge Judy. That's another type of reality TV. Caso Cerrado. And I'm posing the question, this current live trial, the Derek Chauvin trial, would you consider that reality TV?
Oh my gosh,
Question mark.
Someone tried to convince me that because there's a court television channel, and they're like, "Yeah, this is my type of reality TV," and I was like, "Wait, that's weird because that's not entertainment, but you're using it in like there's some grim."
It's entertaining to do that.
Yeah, I'm like, but there's a difference. There's no like happy ending in most cases.
There's definitely a difference, but I do think like when you think back to trials, especially the famous ones like O.J. Simpson, for example, like everyone was glued to their TVs. So, you know, and that is the purest form in a way of reality TV because you're like inside the courtroom.
I would consider that definitely reality TV. We have some hidden camera shows. Remember, Danny, you said Punk. That was really popular with Ashton Kutcher. And the funny thing, actually, back in the day, some of these shows weren't considered reality TV until in the afterthought, we were like, oh, that's reality TV. You know, in the moment, nobody was saying, oh, this is reality TV. I have some survival ones, what I've categorized as survival: Man vs. Wild and Naked and Afraid. Just to think that reality TV has stooped so low that they have literally put two naked people in the wild and they have to, quote, survive.
Yeah, that's a little, whoever signs up for that, more power to you. Like, I would rather be on a dating show, to be honest.
I'm confused, but I'm just confused.
But also, why do you want to watch that? Like that, and I know it's fascinating to so many people, but I'm also like, but why? Like, do I want to see somebody eat a crocodile? Like, to me, that's not fun. Like, that's disgusting to me. Like, same thing as watching
that's like Fear Factor.
Yeah, like.
No, it's the whole naked thing. Like, this is so weird. We have some medical reality TV shows. Dr. Pimple Popper is a very popular current one. That's reality TV. This doctor popping pimples, and people enjoy that. We have botched. Like botched surgeries. Like, do you guys remember Extreme Makeover? Like people getting these extreme makeover surgeries.
Yeah, the plastic surgeries, right?
Yeah. I didn't know I was pregnant. Do you guys remember that one?
Oh my gosh, I hate. But I'm sorry, those are the ones, and like the ER ones and stuff.
Yes, Untold Stories of the ER. That was it has dramatization to it.
It can scar a little girl who has no idea about the birds and the bees. Let me just say it. Like, I'm just thinking for the poor girls.
Some miscellaneous ones that I didn't know what to put under, but there are a couple of throwbacks. And funny ones. Ghost Hunters. That's I would consider that reality TV, where they're out there hunting for ghosts and like the scanners going off and like.
Oh my gosh, Lewis loves that one.
Totally judging him for that because
no, his family watches it. I'm like, guys.
Talking about the supernatural. Long Island Medium was a show on TLC about this lady who was a medium. Do you guys remember Intervention? It was no, yes, it's an old one when people had like intervention. Like each show was different. Like someone had like an addiction, and like their family would stage this intervention with obviously like intervention specialists. It was good.
Yes.
It was really good. Yeah. That was good reality. That was definitely unstructured. Um, Beyond Scared Straight. Have you guys ever seen them? They send the little kids to like jail and like they get the prisoners scare them. You guys have never seen that on social media?
What?
You're naming so many, and I'm like
Yeah.
concerned about who approved these
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah, no, it's like they bring in like really misbehaved little kids, like teenagers, and like they go to jail and like the inmates are like screaming at them and cursing. You guys haven't you guys are missing out. And I thought I didn't watch reality TV. These are some old ones that I remember. American Chopper, they made like custom chopper bikes. Miami Inc. Where I remember Kat Von D.
Miami Inc. Yes, Kat
Yeah,
Von D's were.
yeah.
That was
Uh,
good.
that was a good show, and it was a local Miami one. Undercover Boss, that's a popular one. Shark Tank, I love Shark
Yes.
Tank.
Love it.
Shark Tank, I feel like is really legit. Like that's one that
Yeah,
you learn a lot, and you're kind of like,
yeah,
ooh, like you're on the edge of your seat. It's a great idea.
I just
it
kind of
is.
wish we had like a follow up. I know they sometimes do, but like I wish I
Oh
knew what that
yeah.
process was like afterward.
Like a behind the scenes of actually getting, the
Right.
many,
Yeah.
just hard work, a lot of
Mhm.
hard work footage. Um, some notable My 600-Pound Life, My Big Fat Fabulous Life. These are all
I
great TLC shows. Johnny
Yeah, but
K
those
plus
make me so
8.
sad.
Here Comes Honey Boo Boo, Duck Dynasty.
I'm waiting for you to
Um,
get to the food shows like Cake Boss. Cake Boss was my favorite.
yes, and that one. So I didn't even consider that's not really like It's not a competition. It's literally reality TV of this baker. And I don't know if you guys remember Ace of Cake with Duff Goldman. That was before
Yes.
Cake Boss and whatever his name is. It was Duff Goldman and his show. That it was amazing. That
Ace of
I
Cakes
love that.
walked so Cake Boss could run.
Yes, preach. So I made another category, which throughout my research and talking to my girlfriend, she kind of enlightened me that these shows kind of give you perspective into not only other cultures, but other peoples that you might
Yeah,
never
like other
meet
ways
in
of life.
person.
hmm
Yes. Really popular one that I had brought up was I Am Jazz, which is a reality TV show on a transgender girl. And I feel like it's just kind of interesting because reality TV gives that person and that community a platform and a voice to kind of like peek into what this is. And another one is I don't know if you guys remember Little People Big World and kind of really
Yes,
being
Yeah.
exposed
Sweet.
I love
to
that
little
show.
people. Yeah, and it kind of didn't it kind of like
Like
normalize
dwarfism and
seeing.
stuff.
Yeah, and it kind of normalized it. Like you're like this is okay. You're like learning about their life. So
And what they
that's
have to go through to live a normal lifestyle.
yes.
That's like the root of media for me. Like I can appreciate reality TV that has like an educational or representational value to it because most people only hang out with people who think like them. They're like-minded individuals or look like them. And it's very difficult. You can't say the average person like branches out like that, but people branch out a lot on TV. So something like
Yeah.
Little People Big World, people get invested in that. And I love that for them.
Yes, 100%. Another one, remember 19 Kids and Counting?
Oh my goodness.
That was an interesting peek into that
Yikes.
family in that world.
I see that you have RuPaul's Drag Race on there, and
Yes,
that show really took off and really gave the LGBTQ plus community like something to rave about the entire time.
100%.
I just love what the show did to our culture. I'm
Yeah.
very glad that someone gave it a chance.
Yeah. And again, going back to like that normalizing aspect where reality TV is making this part of mainstream media, making it part of pop culture where you're seeing it on TV and it's giving these communities a platform. And I think that's an awesome side of reality TV. And I think it can go very undervalued. Another one big shout out that I want to do, and this is like a big learning one, was Mythbusters. And looking back, it really was a reality TV show because it's them in reality, like testing out these experiments. And I remember learning so much from that show. And shout out to Mythbusters because it was one of my favorite shows. No, am I the only one nerding out about it?
Yeah, you are. But it's cute. Like I'm glad you
Anyways.
appreciate it.
So for the hot take of the episode, is a game show a reality TV? And I'm going to be on the school of thought that says yes. I think some of them have more of a reality aspect than game show aspects. So I think some game shows are very, straightforward and there's nothing reality-esque about it, where it's just, but you can make an argument that these are real contestants and their reactions and their efforts on the show are genuine. Like Price is Right is a very like it's filmed in in a studio audience. It's like stage, like there's people there, all the common components of a filmed show. But you've seen those people like going crazy when they win a car, when they win a vacation. Like that's reality TV show. Um, and just for that reason, I think all game shows are reality TV shows. And I want to mention some notable game shows. The Amazing Race, which is, if you've never seen it, it's freaking awesome. Have you guys seen it?
Of course. I want to add something really quick though, because you mentioned big reactions and like, let me just say that some of those reactions are not genuine because a lot of those game shows have cue cards.
Touche.
Laugh, cry, boo, clap. So it's like,
True. But the contestants' actual reactions, I don't think they're like, "Oh, you won a car, jump up and down." Like I think that's genuine.
Right.
Some notable reality game shows: American Ninja Warrior, Jeopardy, Deal or No Deal, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. But I think there's a difference between game show and competition shows. And I think competition shows are without a doubt reality TV because quote unquote reality TV, there might be some structure in it. There's obviously some producing and some guidance. But at the end of the day, like a show like Ink Master or American Idol or The Voice, like those are people with their raw talents competing for money or, fame. So I think even singing, dancing competitions, America's Got Talent, The Masked Singer, Dancing with the Stars, and cooking shows like Chopped, Iron Chef America, the Great British Baking Show, like all those are competition, and it's a reality because all these people are, I guess, to some degree, quote, really competing.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think competition shows are lean definitely on what the reality TV show structure, the definition you mentioned earlier, under the Emmys, right? And I feel like game shows, though, I'm gonna just disagree with you there. I feel like maybe at best they're their own subgenre, but a game show is a game show at the end of the day. Like there's some drama in it because there's humans, and it's not super scripted, but I'm not like, let me watch the next episode. Like there's no anticipation to know what's happening next. Like a lot of the times I can feel like I can tune in whenever and it's one and done. Like the entertainment value is not invested in the competitor all the time. It's invested in like the questions they're asking or the game itself. Whereas the competition shows, like you pick your favorite person, you're really rooting for like your favorite American Idol singer, which American Idol is like, ooh, American Idol is the OG reality TV singing competition, but it's fallen off just a little bit. I used to love So You Think You Can Dance, and it's because I'd be invested in the person who is like from South Florida or something. But I just don't have that same vibe for game shows. Like I'm okay if I turn on Jeopardy one day and like never touch it again or watch it once or twice a month. Whereas if I get into a season for a competition show, like I want to know who wins or what happens next. So I think that's like the difference, is the nuance there. But I could be wrong.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with Gabby because I think like when you were first talking about game shows, I was like, okay, yeah, like I can see how it could fall into it, even though I wouldn't necessarily consider it. Like that's not what I would think of when you talk to me about reality TV. But then you mentioned competitions, and I'm like, well, yeah, I think like American Idol, America's Got Talent, they have that human feature story in it before they even compete. They introduce them as a person and their background and their life story, and that makes it more real. Like that's the reality TV aspect to it. And yes, they're competing, and those are the judges' genuine reactions to it, even though they edited and all that stuff. But a game show at the end of the day is very, very structured, very scripted. Like, yes, you might not know what the contestants are going to answer, but the game, the structure of like the producers and the writers, they already have the questions prompted. They have like everything set up. So that's not I don't know. I wouldn't consider that reality TV. I would just consider it like any other show, pretty much. I don't know. It's just weird. It's like what Gabby said. It's like its own sub genre, I would say.
So Manny's hot take is literally just Manny's hot take. Nobody else agrees.
No, I will fight that game shows are a component of reality TV. It's just one of those things that it's never, I think, never looked at it like that. But in essence, it's a form of reality TV. But I think, to be honest with you, after looking at this whole list and even having this debate, I think reality TV, when you first think of it, it's like one thing, but there's actually a lot of things that you can consider reality TV and that are reality TV. And it's provided us a lot of entertainment and it's taught us a lot. Like this, like whoever says they don't watch reality TV is lying to themselves. And that's what I learned in this episode.
So why don't we talk about now, like where we're at with reality TV? Because I feel like with no cable, streaming services, the genre still survives.
I think reality TV will continue to be a component of American culture. It's very popular. It's an escape for people. It's really, I think, what's attractive is it's an escape from the real reality of the sometimes crappy world we may live in. If there's something really triggering on the news that you don't like, or like everything's in shambles, or like the world is burning, and you're like, I kind of just want to watch Snooki getting drunk and falling on her feet, because it's going to make me laugh and I'm not going to have to think about the other horrors of the world.
So reality TV is basically an escape from reality.
Yeah, and as much as Gabby talked about the educational component to it, which I agree 100%, like I love that there are shows that allow us to look at different points of views and different backgrounds and different people from different walks of life. I do think that it's okay. Like, and I think it took me a while also to understand and come to terms with the fact that not everything I watch has to be educational. Which is totally my case at the beginning, but it's okay to watch The Bachelor and be consumed by it. Like I don't have any shame in that. Why?
It's not. It's just people condoning. The reason why reality TV also is successful, people condone it. And like there's other I'm sorry, The Bachelor is like one of the things I can't get behind. Tried it, didn't like it. It's one of those shows that I'm like, it really is running for way too many seasons now.
So I wanted to mention a quick stat on that actually. So according to the BBC, the March finale of The Bachelor was the most watched show since 2016. So that's why I was also asking if
no me digas.
It was in regard to the pandemic, like because people are just like this bored, or if I think it's just always been that way. People are just fascinated with stuff like that. And I think it's okay. Like I don't understand why you're bashing it. Mind you, I was one of them beforehand, but like I said, I've changed my ways and I'm okay with watching so-called trashy TV once in a while. Like I allow myself to do that. It's fine.
Not my cup of tea or my flower I would pick.
Hey, Gabby, you've been shitting on some reality TV shows, but you just proved on this episode that you watch plenty of reality TV shows.
Jersey Shore.
You like to escape, just like everybody else.
Yeah. Okay. First of all, wait. Let me clear my name.
Let's clear my name.
I did watch reality TV more, and like the super trashy, the super strangers, the ones that like I could never get behind all the popular ones, but I definitely like the underdog stories. Like, so when you were naming all the different genres, like the romance ones, never really loved. I think I like really watched Tila Tequila ones, and it's because she was bi, or she is bi.
Tila Tequila.
So I was like, oh my gosh, guy or girl? Like,
oh my god.
I'm like, that competition's cray. Like, that's wild. But the romance ones I can't get behind. I watched Jersey Shore. They did one season in Miami, and like there's those ties. And I've seen episodes here and there. The Real World was always fascinating to me, but looking back, like there is a cult following for some of these reality TV shows that I could never emulate, and I don't understand. Like I get, yeah, like there's people who watch The Bachelor and make bachelor brackets and are like invested and bet money on it and stuff. And I'm like,
that's extreme.
I can't get behind that. If you watch it casually, like cool, good for you. But a lot of people are like super invested in The Bachelor, or like they announced the next Bachelor. I can't wait for the next season. And I'm like, what?
So question for you both. Do you guys think that reality TV is an American culture thing? Like, do other cultures experience this phenomenon?
Yes. When in my
Yeah, they
research, I
do.
saw
Mhm.
a lot of other countries have their own form of reality TV, or American reality TV has exported to other countries. Like there's Housewives of other things and kind
Yeah,
of like
like The
that.
Real World Sydney, and then America's
Oh
Next
yeah.
Top Model also went to
Oh
Australia and
yeah.
Brazil. Like, but
Okay.
it depends on the genre, right? Because I'm like, oh, fashion, I can see why they would bring that elsewhere. Like, I liked America's Next Top Model, for instance, because everyone thinks model life is so glamorous, and then you actually have to like walk in front of people in a white t-shirt and jeans with no makeup on, and you have to prove you're pretty that way. Or like the cooking shows, to me, I'm like, wow, a 13-year-old that can cook amazing, and like he just wants to go to school one day, like go to college, and he's out here like crying over his cake. Like that's crazy. It's those type of stories or the storylines that I get behind when it comes to reality TV. It's the romance ones that I'm just like,
Some are more impactful, and I think at the end of the day, that's why reality TV is gonna stick to American culture a little longer, because it's such
so
a
broad,
wide
yeah.
spectrum that I think everyone finds a little bit in enjoying something that the genre provides, and I think it's very evident among us. Like even me walking into this, I'm like, I've never seen reality TV, and it's like, no, this is like a bunch of reality TV that you've seen, but you've never considered it, and it's actually entertaining. Not all of it, but whatever you consider to your liking, and that's fair, and I think that makes it very palatable to everybody, all Americans.
yeah, I can agree with that. And like to Danny's earlier point, like it wasn't until I watched, I'm trying to think now, like, oh my gosh, is this a reality TV show on Netflix? What's this show called? Like My Guest Needs to Know Introduction.
It's a talk show. That's a talk show.
Yes. Are talk shows reality shows? I don't know. They're talk
No,
shows.
they're not. No.
But anyway, he interviewed Kim Kardashian, and everyone was
No.
raving about her interview. So I actually like sat down to watch it one evening having dinner, and I'm like, wow, I really have a lot of respect for Kim Kardashian. And they kept referencing the show.
That's what
And
I'm saying.
I feel like I don't know how many seasons the Kardashians have had, but I definitely got the spark notes enough to be like, I don't need to watch the show, but now I'm like intrigued by everything she talked about referencing the show. And I'm like, oh wow, the show has more content or like evolution and development than I would have originally thought, because the Kardashians was never anything I was particularly interested in. But after that interview and hearing her talk about what's gone on in the show, I was like, okay, I see how people turn to this now. I personally did not make the switch, but I have way more respect for Kim Kardashian.
So, according to my research, it is considered one of the longest running reality TV series in the US with 20 seasons. I believe they're in their 20th season at the moment, and they're done. Like after this, they're done. They stopped filming actually.
They moved to Hulu.
Yeah, they just renewed, to streaming. You see what I mean? Like reality TV is gonna stay, but bro, 20 seasons? I'm 26. Like
But that's what
20
I'm saying.
seasons.
Like I would have never given them a shot had my best friend not forced me literally to watch it with her, because she was like fascinated with it, still is, and I gave it a chance because I had to. But then when I realized like, wow, these women are actually like they're living life, like they're actually more than just Barbie dolls, and like like they're entrepreneurs, they have their own businesses, and they talk about that in the show, and it makes you question all of the gossip and the media and the tabloids essentially that portray them in such manner, because they're more than that in a way, or that's what I've come to realize.
And at this point, it's been 20 plus seasons that you basically have grown up with this person. You have literally been part of their quote life. Like you've seen them in their moments in their life, almost making you feel like you were there. You grew up with them. Like this is part of your life too. And like there is no breaking that bond of like now people that's like you're hooked, like you are a fan, like you are very well invested into this person's
You're
life.
not fans, you're biffles. You're best
No,
friends for
you're part of
life.
the family.
Yeah, you've been through their breakups, you've seen marriages fall apart, you've seen your kids hate you, you pull your sister's hair, like you curse her out on Twitter, like you see everything. Or you see like a lot of it. I won't say everything because obviously like structure.
So here's the discussion now. When it comes to reality TV shows like that it's you're so vulnerable, authentic, you're putting your family's business out there. Like, I just can't imagine going back to a normal life after that. Like the Kardashians, they each have their own businesses, like they have their own lives going on, but who are they going to be without the show? Or John and Kate plus 8, like they famously got divorced and that was a huge deal.
Oh my God, TBT.
I think that's a hot question, and I think any Keeping Up with the Kardashian fan will tell you, and I'll tell you because my girlfriend is one, and Danny will probably attest. They'll tell you that they are more than their show, and obviously the show has set their stage for them, but I think they will still continue to be something without the show. And I think at this point in their life, they don't need the show to be successful.
100%.
I could agree with that with the Kardashians, but for instance, like, okay, like John and Kate plus 8, they fell off the earth. Now, like no one cares about them.
Like what was the purpose of this show? That they have 8 kids and that they failed as parents, essentially? That's what I remember. I've never watched the show. I'm not
That's what I remember.
I just remember the tabloids portraying them in that manner, and like why would I watch parents deal with their 8 kids? Like
it was I actually was hooked on it. It was very entertaining. Yeah, and you grew up with these kids. It was the kids that you grew up with, the little kids, and then like at one point I think they did it up until maybe they were 5, and it was like 2 sets of triplets, and it was pretty cool. It was really nice seeing little kids grow up, and I think that's that part of that aspect that makes it so attractive. And here's the last question I'll pose: when similarly to social media influencers or YouTubers, TikTokers, etc., most people create some sort of relationship to these people where they feel like they're also part of their life and they bring you into their life, into their drama. Do you feel like that's a part of reality TV? What is that? Its own genre?
Like the YouTube influencer culture, like, oh, come follow me.
Yeah, no, and then specifically YouTubers they're literally like daily vlogs, and you're part of their life, and you keep coming back, and like, what are they up to? What are they doing? Because it's a little escape from your own life, and you're like, let me just watch someone else's life. And it's really weird. Have you guys, that's ever happened that you're like really into like a YouTube channel and you like keep coming back? It hasn't happened to me recently, but I remember like in high school that being a thing where you were like obsessed, or no, was that just me?
I was never into YouTubers, but I definitely go on to like
doesn't use YouTube for anything. Like
oh my
nothing,
god!
so-
Well, never mind. You guys
But
will not get it.
I mean, I was talking about Gabby, not me, but I understand what you're saying. I've also never been that type of person. So I do have influencers that I follow on Instagram, for example, but I'm not one really to click on their videos on YouTube. Like I don't really follow bloggers. I never really understood.
Is it reality? Is it reality TV?
I do think so. I do think that's more real than something scripted on a game show, for example. 100%. Like it's still edited. Everything you will see on TV is edited. Like let's just throw that out there. Whether it's a series or a game show or a competition or whatever traditional reality TV you consider, everything is edited. But I do think that's more of the purest form of reality TV, and I do think we're headed in that direction. And for some reason, people are just fascinated to learn about other people's lives. So
I think that's a great thing to put it. People are fascinated to learn about other people's lives. So I think the conclusion is, if you got anything out of this episode, it's that you probably have seen reality TV, and you're probably watching it because your reality isn't just as interesting, dramatic, competitive as what you can see either streaming or on cable or on your antenna. So the next time that you feel, I'm sorry, I mentioned antenna, and people are like, now my co-hosts are looking at me like I'm cray.
For a second, I thought you were going to bash their own reality, like an escape from their own boring lives to watch other people's fascinated lives. And I was going to be like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh, no, please. Understand you're the protagonist of your own reality TV show. You just don't know where the cameras are. And if it makes good content, you can probably get a TV deal. So plant your own cameras if you're really into that.
Start your
Office.
own reality TV show.
The Office style.
That's what people on YouTube do, right? Isn't that what we were just saying?
Literally, yeah. Start your own reality TV on YouTube. There we go. Full circle.
¿Y quién te va a seguir? Tu mamá y tu abuela.
Yo, that counts. So go ahead and lean on over, grab your best friends and be like, oye, let's start our own reality TV series and we'll tune in.